Okay, welcome back everyone. I hope you had a chance to stretch your legs, grab a cup of coffee or tea to keep you engaged and alert for next few more sessions. My name is Soo Jin Park, and I am here to talk about 503B compounder product reporting using CDER Direct. Here are the learning objectives for this session. I will go through the regulatory requirements for 503B outsourcing facility registration and product reporting, do a quick demonstration of product reporting submission using CDER Direct, and review of most common errors, provide a summary, and as always, all the wonderful 503B related helpful resources for you, and then finish my presentation with a challenge question at the end. From the Drug Quality and Security Act, it created a new section in the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, Section 503B, which established Human Drug Compounding Outsourcing Facility. An outsourcing facility is defined as a facility at one geographic location that is engaged in the compounding of sterile drugs that has elected to register as an outsourcing facility and complies with all of the requirements of Section 503B. Registered outsourcing facilities are exempted from certain FDA approval requirements. Products they compound are also exempted from certain labeling requirements, but they are not exempted from cGMP requirements. Before moving on to regulations pertaining to product reporting, I'd like to mention that establishment registration for 503B facilities is identical to regular establishment registration covered earlier by REGI, except there is a specific business operation and it's called Human Drug Compounding Outsourcing Facility. Now on the product reporting side, it is product reporting and not drug listing, because there are some important differences. When an outsourcer registers, they must submit an initial product report of all products they compounded. Then after that, beginning next June or December, whichever comes first, they have to submit a report of all the products they compounded in the previous 6 months. So unlike listing, which is more like what am I manufacturing now, versus in product reporting is what did I make in the past 6 months. So for June reporting period, they are submitting products they compounded from December to May. And for December reporting period, they report products compounded between June to November. So what is included in the product reporting? 1, active ingredient and strength of active ingredient per unit. NDC of drug, finished or bulk active ingredients. Dosage form and route of administration. Package description. Number of individual units produced in that 6-month period. Finally, if outsourcing facility assigns an NDC number of the final product, then they can report that as well. Now moving on to the next item on our agenda. Next 10 or so PowerPoint slides are screenshots to walk you through the process of completing the product reporting SPL using CDER Direct. And then we will go through some common errors. So you've seen this many times already by now. So here's the CDER Direct again. And this is the page that you will reach after you log in. In order to get started, you click on Product Listing and Certification tab on the left corner. Then simply click on the Create New button on the top of the screen. If you have the option to create a new product listing using a blank form, which is what I intend to do for this demonstration. However, if you have an SPL file previously created and zipped into a folder somewhere on your laptop, you may choose to do so, import that into CDER Direct and edit within the SPL. Then under SPL document type, you click on the box there and select human compounded drug label from the drop-down menu, and then click continue. The opening screen begins with the header information, which you have seen already. I'd like to bring your attention to this reporting period box right here, which is specific to product reporting SPL only. So from the drop-down menu, you can select the appropriate reporting period for your submission. And for the purposes of my presentation, I am going to select 2020, the second reporting period. Next is the establishment information. You type in the establishment name and 9-digit DUNS number. As you can see, the business operation is pre-populated for you. When you're done, then click Save Establishment. The most extensive part of product reporting SPL is the products section. So the agency requires registered 503B facilities to report whether they have compounded products during that 6 months period. So even if an outsourcer has not produced any products in the previous 6 months, they still have to report that information to FDA. So if you have no products to report, simply select No from the drop-down menu, then submit that SPL to us. If you have products to report, then choose Yes from the drop-down menu and click on Add Products to start including product information. Once again, this product data element section looks very similar to regular listing SPL. One thing you can see here is that NDC product code is not a required field for product reporting SPL, because outsourcing facilities are not required to assign an NDC number to final products. However, if they assign one, then they can include it in the SPL. So for my example, I entered my made-up NDC number for a hand sanitizer 75% and used isopropyl alcohol 75%, which is the active ingredient for this product, under non-proprietary name. If your product is a scheduled product or controlled product, then you can include an appropriate designation under DEA schedule. Under dosage form, I selected liquid from the drop-down menu. And from route of administration column, I picked topical. Marketing category is pre-populated for product reporting SPL as unapproved drug other, so you can just leave it as is. Next is the ingredient details, and here you will enter all the active ingredients for your compounded products. As mentioned before in drug listing session, the strength of an active ingredient is represented as a ratio. So that is numerator over denominator, and it's no different in product reporting SPL. So for my example, denominator strength is 100 with unit of measurement in milliliters. Under type, select active ingredient. Ingredient is basis of strength. And for ingredient unit name, type in the active ingredient, which is isopropyl alcohol. For strength of isopropyl alcohol 75%, type in 75 with unit of measurement in milliliters. And click on moiety same as ingredient box. Next, in the most important part in the ingredient detail section, which is the source NDC portion, you must include the source NDC of the active ingredient you use to compound the product, and that source NDC must be listed with FDA. So I looked up an NDC for isopropyl that was already listed with us and used that NDC here, and I typed that in under source NDC. Then once you have done this, you can click Save Ingredient If you have multiple ingredients to report for your product, you can simply click Add Ingredient and continue adding. There are two sections of the SPL, Product Image and Characteristics, which are optional for product reporting submission, so we will skip those sections for the purpose of this presentation. So now to the final section of Product Reporting SPL is the packaging section. Under Package NDC, if you assigned an NDC to the final compounded product, then you can enter full 10-digit NDC here. For package type, choose from drop-down menu for your product. For my example, I selected bottle and in like a pump form as package type, and typed in 500 milliliter as quantity and unit of measure. Lastly, for number of units produced, here you will enter in the total number of units produced during that reporting period. So for my example, I noted here that I'm reporting 25,000 units were compounded. Once I'm done, I can save this packaging information by clicking Save Package. Next page, you can review your product details information, and if you are done, click Save Product. Now I am ready to submit my product reporting SPL by clicking Submit SPL, or if you have more products to add to this SPL, you can click Add Product under Products section and continue the process. Now on to the most common errors. Source NDC of your active ingredient must be a listed product with FDA. We continue to get a lot of pushback and complaints about this, but if you're using an active ingredient, whether it's bulk or finished product, to compound your product, that active ingredient is in commercial distribution, so it must be listed with FDA. Now, we highly encourage you to verify the listing status of that product you're using, and it's also important that you do this ahead of time, because if you use a source NDC that is not currently listed, when you submit your product reporting SPL, it will not pass validation and you will receive an error message for that product. Also, the source of the active ingredient identified by the source NDC must have the same active ingredient as the compounded drug product. Now, if the NDC product code was previously submitted, then essentially all the rules pertaining to NDC assignment applies here. So once you assign an NDC to a final compounded product, then things like product name or active ingredient uni and active ingredient strength, dosage form, etc., must remain the same as in the most recent submission for that particular NDC product code. Now, in summary, registered 503B facilities are required to submit product reporting in June and December. The source NDC is required for all source drug ingredients. Please do prepare ahead of time to get source NDCs and verify listing status. And you can verify the listing status of your source NDC using the NDC directory, and for unfinished drug products, you can download the data files for unfinished drugs, which is also available on FDA's NDC directory. Okay, so as I promised, next few slides are some helpful resources. So let's go over them quickly. There are the links to Drug Quality and Security Act and also guidance for industry on product reporting submission. Again, here are the links on how to submit electronic drug registration and listing instructions, and the links to Human Drug Compounding website, as well as 503B Compounding Dashboard if you wanted to find out an outsourcer is currently registered or not, you can check the information on the dashboard. Once again, here's the link to the FDA's NDC directory and where you can find the downloadable files for unfinished drugs. Next link here is a new database. It's a searchable database of products reported by registered 503B outsourcing facilities. This database actually contains information reported to FDA within the last 2 years, so that's last 4 reporting periods. This information may be used to identify outsourcing facilities that have produced certain drugs, and you can search by reporting period or reporting year and or by active ingredient, and also by the registered establishment name from the drop-down menu. Just as a reminder, this retrospective information does not identify drugs that outsourcing facilities intend to produce in the future, because this is what was reported to us in the past 2 years. Okay, now let's test your knowledge on 503B product reporting. So here's your challenge question. I only have one. So the question is, which of the following are true statements related to 503B outsourcing facility and product reporting? A, source NDC must be listed with FDA. B, they are exempted from CGMP requirements. C, assignment of an NDC number to a final product is not required. D, if a firm registered in April 2021, they are not required to submit an initial product reporting as long as they submit one by end of June 2021. Now, if you selected answers A and C, you are correct. Now, final few slides. Here are some important contact information you've already seen. For any questions related to compounding, registration and listing, and CDER Direct, please reach out to us. We are here to help you. Okay, and that concludes my presentation. Now I'm going to turn it over to Julian and Layla to talk about our establishment registration and drug listing compliance program. Thank you.
Actually, we are going to have a quick Q&A session here to specifically answer the questions regarding compounding in the 503B program. We actually, it was such a short program, we actually may get to most, if not all, the questions, but a lot of them have to deal with what is the difference between what we just talked about, this registering under 503B as a compounder versus a manufacturer. Well, even though they employ the same SPL file, both facilities need to submit a establishment registration to register here. What we're talking about in this particular session is specifically companies who register under the business operation of human drug compounding outsourcing facility. It's a very specific business operation for compounding pharmacies, outsourcing facilities that choose this. They pay a fee, and they are covered by Section 503B. So this is different from just what I would call, forgive the term, normal drug manufacturing. If you are not registered as a 503B, as a human drug outsourcing facility, you do not need to do anything here. This is product reporting under 503B. This is not drug listing for OTC monographs or other things under Section 510 of the Act. So I want to just put that out there, and hopefully that'll help some of you all with those questions if you were wondering whether this applied to you. To Soo Jin, let me ask you a few questions here. when preparing a product reporting SPL, what SPL document type should I select?
Hi, Paul. So when a 503B facility is preparing a product reporting, they should be selecting human compounded drug label from that SPL document type.
Right. And for regarding the source NDC for the ingredients that I use, where can I go to verify the listing status of those NDCs?
So we get that question very often. So for source NDC, as it was mentioned previously during the listing session, you can go to the FDA's National Drug Code or the NDC directory to search for the listing status of the finished drug products, as well as there is a downloadable database file that you can download to check for the status of the unfinished drug products as well.
Now, here's a bit of a tricky one. Is it? What about the compounding of veterinary drug products? Do they get reported here?
So for the CVM products, I would recommend that you reach out to CVM for the reporting requirements.
Facility also manufacture other drugs. So can you be registered as both?
I'm sorry, Paul, I think I couldn't hear the first part of your question. Can you repeat, please?
Can a facility, can an establishment be registered as both a manufacturer and an outsourcing facility?
Absolutely. They can be registered under 510 as a manufacturer or repacker or relabeler, and they can also be registered as an outsourcing facility. But when they do register as an outsourcing facility, there is a fee associated with their registration.
And I would note it's very rare that such happens. Usually these facilities fall under one or the other. But if it does apply and you are required to register under 510 and 503B, it is only one submission. You just need to include or identify both the business operations of manufacturer and outsourcing facility. This one we brought in our technical expert Troy Koo. For Troy, can you remind people if they've submitted a product report and maybe they need to add some more products in there or make a correction or something, how do they go about doing that?
Thank you, Paul. So to update or add a product to your existing report, assuming you're doing it within the same reporting period, first thing you want to do is open up the previous submission and create a new version, okay? And then from there, you can make your update or add the report, or add additional product to it if you like. Now, keep in mind that when you add a new product, let's say I submitted yesterday with 3 products, A, B, and C. And today I say, oh, I got to add another product in it. So I go into my previous submission, I create a new version, make sure you include those 3 products from yesterday as well, A, B, and C. If you only put one today, it's going to override what you submitted yesterday. So it's very important that you have to add all the product in your latest SPL file.
Thank you. The next one, back to Soo Jin about the source NDC. We have a question, a pretty good question here. Does the source NDC have to be the reference listed drug, the original approved drug, or can it be any listed product currently on the market?
the source NDC of the active ingredient can be any listed product that you are utilizing to compound your drug product.
Yes, and I would add it needs to be. The point of that field is to identify what you, the compounder, are using as the source for that ingredient. Are you using a bulk source? Are you using a finished product and taking it out and somehow, reconstituting that active ingredient or whatever? So, yeah, it's important that you use the NDC number, the validly listed and currently listed NDC number of the actual source you are using, and not just whatever the original reference listed drug was, whatever that may be. It might be the same thing, but it might not. The next few I'm going to field on my own here. We got a question very early on. It says, what is the FDA planning to do to align expectations of 503B operations with the state requirements? Well, I'm going to answer that by not answering that. I want to refer that type of a policy question to our Office of Compounding within the Office of Compliance. So feel free to direct your question there. There is an email, compounding@fda.hhs.gov, that you can submit that and ask for things about the various state requirements. Another one asks about compounding kits. These are kits and drug products with pre-measured amounts of ingredients meant to be mixed by the pharmacist at the pharmacy, at the retail pharmacy, or at the compounding pharmacy at the point of dispensing. Those are not the kit itself is considered a drug product under Section 510. So if you are with a company, whoever asked that, if your company makes the kits, your company needs to register as a drug manufacturer with under the operation of manufacturer, and not human drug compounding. And then you subsequently need to list those compounding kits as generally unapproved drug other in your drug listings. And then this last one, there are actually two questions about what do we do? One person is making products from grandfathered drugs where the ingredient doesn't exist, and another asks about fragrances that are not on the uni list. This applies not only to the compounders, to the 503B firms, but any of you out there in industry, if you can't find a uni code, that UNII code for your specific ingredient, active or inactive, you can submit a request for a new one to our substance registration system folks. So essentially, it's the FDA's ingredient dictionary, and they are in charge of assigning the Unicodes for these types of submissions. It may be that they've already assigned one, and maybe they have a different name, a preferred name for it or whatever. And you can actually you can send them an email or access their website through the CDER Direct program. When you get into the uni field of the formulation and you're entering in an ingredient, if you click on the label for uni and name, and there's a link within that bubble help that will take you to that website. So, or you can just search the FDA website and go there. Back to Soo Jin. You talked about the number of units produced. We have a question: is that a units per batch, or is that the summation of all batches?
So the excuse me, the number produced is actually what the total number that was the unit that was produced in the last 6 months that you're reporting from. So right now, starting October, so we are in December, you will be submitting your product reporting of products that you produce starting in June until November. So the total number of units that you have compounded in that period is what needs to be reported for the reporting period.
Soo Jin, do the compounded products that are reported, do they have to have an NDC?
So for 503B facilities reporting, you do not have to have an NDC number associated with the final compounded products. However, if you do assign an NDC number to your products, we recommend that you report that to us during your reporting period.
Back to Troy this time. We've gotten a few questions in since then. Troy, what marketing categories are used for the 503B product reports?
Thank you, Paul. I think it's by default, it's already set at the what I'm trying to what is that?
It's actually I'll jump in there. Yeah, it's just unapproved drug other. All these products, right. And in fact, if you use CDER Direct, that's your only choice. But be sure if you use other systems and other software that you specify that it's marketing category equals unapproved drug other. If not, the submission will get rejected. So that looks like, just looking through the rest of the questions, they're either not necessarily, there's some great questions here, but they're not really compounding related. So I'll see if we have time later, I might try to address them. But otherwise, it looks like we've covered all the questions for this. So with about a minute and a half early, I am going, if Jeff and our folks are prepared, I'm going to kick it over to the next session.